You know what else I was thinking about? Compliance. In America, we are taught to comply in so many areas, at work, in school, in school, in prisons, in religion. America is really militant, and it reflects in family systems. And so because you were taught that separating yourself from the masses, separating yourself from groupthink, separating yourself from believing that if you don't comply, there's going to be a problem, right? But there is a fine line when it comes down to that, right? Especially when it comes down to work. At a certain point, we were taught that, if you don't go to work, then you have like no room to live. Besides, literally, you do need some type of funding for your life. Like you need food and stuff like that, unless you live in the forest and you forage and stuff like that. That's different. But if you live in urban America, then you need money, right? But then we were taught to comply as far as how we generate money. Everybody was taught go to school, get a 9 to 5, and that's it. American dream. But what saddens and angers me the most is when that compliance is taught to our kids. Because again, it teaches groupthink, and then it doesn't allow children to separate themselves, doesn't allow for individuation. It doesn't allow for the child to express themselves as they are. And then when you think about it in family systems, because some families are so militant, they prevent their child from pure expression. Because again, adults were taught if you don't obey, it's going to be a problem. If you don't do this, it's going to be a problem. If you stand out, it's going to be a problem. Mostly for not yeah, you get what I'm saying. Us from back on a plantation. And so now your kids are trying to express themselves and separate and come into their own being, come into their own wellness, develop their own but you tell them no. You make them small. Because to you, shining means punishment. Shining means something's going to happen. If I stay in the background, I won't get in trouble. But then you end up teaching your kids how to be sheep. You end up teaching them to flow with the crowd, to keep up with trends. Because if you keep up with trends and if you blend in, you won't be a problem. But then they lose the sense of self. And now they're hanging out with the wrong people. Now they're hanging out with the wrong crowd. And now you don't recognize who your child has turned into. You never did. Because when they were expressing themselves, when they were displaying their confidence, you took it as arrogance. Oh, you so fast. No, you can't get that hairstyle. You too grown. But I understand too, let kids be kids. I understand there's a limit, right? I understand that, right? At the same time, like give them some space. Like we all are trying to find that wiggle room. It's icky, it's really icky. But then you also don't want to create a militant household, authoritative household. It's either my way or the highway. Like, that's pretty miserable, don't you